Hello there, my name is Kate, also known as Rooster Pen. If you're here, that's probably because of what I do with fountain pens. For example, here's one. I customize them, I add designs to them. Today, we're going to be doing something. I'm going to be trying several new things here for this one. This is a Kaweco. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it, whatever. But this is their limited edition honey. Honestly, the color doesn't really remind me of honey. It reminds me more of mustard. I feel like honey would be like a deeper golden tone. But, whatever. I've had this pen design actually in mind for a while now. Literally, like, it's been months. Since last year. It's May 2025. I'm working on trying other pen models. And when I saw honey, I was like, oh man, that's perfect. Moment of silence for this Jinhao 82 cap. As you can see, it has been the subject of many different experiments and tests. But if you can kind of see these drips here, I think this is what I want to try. And this was my experiment to kind of see how best to go about it. But like, what if I used resin? That's what this is, and mixed in yellow or a bit of gold into it, and then I made it drip like this. I don't know. Like, wouldn't that be cool though? I was a little bit worried to see how brittle these might be. So I took this out and I not only dropped it, I threw it onto concrete 5 times. And it actually cracked in other places, which is not what I was expecting. I did get a little bit of a scuff mark somewhere. Except for like odd scuff mark, nothing happened. Except for this, but this is different experiments, as you can tell. There's acrylic paint, enamel paint, different types of stickers. There's different kinds of... There's a lot of different stuff on here. So, let's get to this. Alright. So I'm going to be... This is Interference Gold paint. And how it works, there's actually... I put some on here so you can kind of see it in some spaces. I sanded most of it off because I did it wrong. Alright, I did this part wrong, but I had to sand that off. Interference pigments, if you've never used them or you're not familiar with them, they basically look white or like kind of transparent. But when the light hits them right, they show off very nicely. So I think this would be a great base layer. That was way too much. Oh well. I think this would be a great base layer. And then what I'm thinking of is doing like a darker, lining this with a darker, maybe like a yellow ochre, brownish kind of color. Let's see here. Where's my brush? Brush. There we go. Alright, so since this is just a base coat, I don't really got better to use a bigger brush. Okay. So then and I'll probably have to do, so see, you can see the shimmer now, so that I hope my camera's picking it up. Like I said, this is my second attempt at this. My first attempt I didn't record, and then when I realized I had to sand this off, I was like, maybe this would be a good one to record, maybe somebody will find it interesting. I do want to say thank you to Hearts. Ignore the silver paint I already have on my hands. But for people who have bought the pens, it's thanks to you that I'm able to buy new materials and experiment with different things. So, thank you. And all of the encouragement. Alright, it's been a few days since I last worked on this pen. I was a little busy prepping for the latest pen drop. That's right. Today's sponsor is me, because I have a website now. It's roosterpenarts.com. It's where I sell my fountain pens. Eventually, I'm hoping to get like stickers and maybe some other stationery, because I think it'd cool to match, like, have stationery designs that match the designs I put on my pens, because I just think it would be cool. Anyway, back to this one. So let's mix up our paint. So I'm wanting like a yellow, but instead of this mustardy yellow, I'm wanting something kind of warmer. These are Daler Brownie Burnt Sienna Yellow Ochre. I moved them from the glass bottles they were before to these because these are easier. And let's see what we can get here. Got 2 drops there, and we'll put this here, because yellow tends to be a weaker color when you are mixing colors. So we're just gonna take a teeny tiny bit of that, and okay, maybe a bit more than a teeny tiny bit. Yeah, I think I want a little bit of burnt umber in here. Okay, maybe I should mix more. And this is golden high flow acrylics. These are not as opaque as TheFatRat, but they do have more colors. And there we go. Okay. Okay. Let's test that again. Okay. I kind of dig it. Then I could probably do some like dry brushing to help blend it a little bit. Okay. Cool, cool. Oh, and if you're curious about what brush I'm using, I'll have a link to it in the description, but this is actually brush intended for Chinese ink painting. I do that to the side. It's just for fun. This is, I love their brushes. I love Chinese brushes ink painting. And this one is from AsianBrushPainter.com. Not sponsored, just love it. Let's see if this works. Okay. And I guess if I'm gonna do a bit of dry brushing, these don't have to be all completely full. The reason why I like these, I could talk so much about these brushes. I love them so much, but I like these because they come to a really fine point, as you can see. I have a heavy hand. It's a curse, honestly. So brush control is something that I need to work on, because these brushes are very soft. Even ones that are considered more firm are still pretty soft if compared to the brushes you get for like watercolor or acrylic or definitely oil. Yeah, I think this is too brown. It's okay. I can take some like yellow ochre and the interference gold. I'm just gonna do a bit of dry brushing. I think it'll create a nice texture anyway. I've been watching some videos on Warhammer, for like the miniature painting, because those guys do amazing things on such a small scale. And this is fairly small scale. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna talk about Chinese brushes because y'all are here and I'm using a Chinese brush, and I did say I could talk about these brushes all the time for a while. So these brushes are different. So the brushes you get from like your art supply store for like watercolor, acrylic painting, generally they're made of one type of material. Synthetic, squirrel. I think there's like hog bristle brushes for oil painting. Those are cool. However, Chinese ink painting brushes are different in that they are made of more than one. A lot of them are. They are made of more than one type of hair. And the reason for this is that, so like in the center, they have a softer, or no, well, some of them do. In the center, they'll have one type of hair that is, it's actually usually firmer, not softer, my bad. But it acts as like something to hold the paint. Like a paint reservoir, essentially. And then it has a different kind of material that covers that. So it's got like a core, we'll say that it's like that big. And then the bigger brushes, or the longer bristles, those are the ones that like you use for painting. They're what's used for mark making. So you got like one type of hair in the center that holds the paint, and then you have a different type of hair on the outside, and that comes to a fine tip, and that's what you actually paint with. And I just think that's so cool and so clever. And it also allows for some interesting techniques. I don't remember what the term is, but where you have more than one type of color of paint or ink on your brush at the same time, and you blend it. I love that. Would love to do something like that with acrylic paint and this, but that takes a lot of practice. Hey, this is actually looking kind of cool. I love these brushes. This is one of the cheaper ones. Downside of using these brushes for acrylic paint is that they're natural hair brushes. So you have to really take care of them, because there's brush soap you can get to help like maintain your brushes, intended for like not these kind of brushes. It's intended for like the ones you get from, you know, the art store for watercolor acrylic. And I was like, hey, is this like okay to use, because I want to use your brushes for, you know, more than just ink painting. And apparently using that brush soap is actually too harsh for these brushes. And acrylic paint, I mean, it's basically plastic suspended in water along with pigment. So that's, you know, also harsher on these brushes compared to, you know, ink or watercolor. So these brushes will have a shorter lifespan than they would otherwise. Okay. So that's why I wash this brush more often than I would a different brush. But I mean, with a different brush, I would need to reload the paint more often. Because of how these brushes are made, like what I was talking about the two different types of fur, you also have to be very careful about how much water you have on or in the brush, really. It's called water control or moisture control, because too much will dilute your paint, but too little and your brush will absorb too much paint, or it'll absorb too much paint and it'll get into like the ferrule here, which is very bad for any brush. It just won't behave like you want. I've gotten better at moisture control, at least when it comes to acrylic paint. It's definitely something that I have yet to master. But honestly, I think that's one of my favorite things about art, is that there's always something to learn. Okay. And this brush is a little crooked. This is one of the cheaper ones though, but I wanted one with a really fine point, because as I said, I have the heavy hand. I actually like that. It is a bit more brown than I wanted originally, but I think it'll be fine once I do a bit of dry brushing. This is pretty dang close. I think I could get away with that to like the base color. So give this a little more of a shaky shake. And then I do still like the gold, so what I'm gonna do is make sure they're both fully closed. I'm gonna mix a little bit of the interference gold with this. Worst come to worst, I can just do some over on top of this, but we'll see how this works. That was way too much. Oh well. We're gonna live life on the edge today, and we're just gonna mix that in directly. Let's see how much I regret it. Alright, let's see how. Oh, that's actually kind of pretty. This mustard yellowish color is like one of my least favorite colors, but okay. So first, we get our teeny tiny. I could probably use a bigger mop brush, except I don't own one. So this will do. So let's do a little test. Too much paint. You want it to be kind of rough. So okay, maybe we actually. Maybe we should do the test on something. Oh yeah, I like that much better. It makes it look more organic and it doesn't stand out as much. I'll probably just do this all over and then do a second layer on like the edges. That blends in very well. Oh, love it when things work out. Okay. So I also got, I got two of these, the Kaweco Honey. So I'm thinking for the next one, if I do this again, I'm gonna instead have this pattern at the top so that the drips come down. I don't know, I feel like I literally thought of this like an hour ago while I was eating lunch. It was like, oh, I should have done it that way. Oh well. That's how hindsight works. Okay, this isn't blending in as well as I thought, so I think I'm gonna have to do it all over the pan so it doesn't look too out of place. That's fine. It's still a very similar color, and the original is still coming through, so that's fine. And I don't want it to be just a flat coat all the way across. I mean, I could, but I feel like it wouldn't look as interesting. It's very subtle, the differences, but it's definitely there. Okay, and let's pick up a bit more paint, get rid of a bit more paint, do a little test, and then let's do another layer here on the edges. I don't like this kind of seam. Didn't really think ahead too much, but it's okay. I think maybe I can do like one long drip here. So you can see like it's kind of blending in a bit more up here. It's perfect, that's what I want. Get a tiny bit more paint. We're gonna let that dry, I guess. And then once it's fully dry, I'll be able to determine if I want to maybe bring out a little bit of the honeycomb pattern. Probably not, if I'm being honest, but I may want to go over with the interference gold. We'll see. We'll see. I've wanted to do this pattern, or this design idea for a while, so I've done a lot of thinking about it. Alright, we're back. So I don't think I'm going to pull out honeycomb. I think it's fine. It might be pushed back a little bit once I add the resin and seal it, but I'm worried about it being like too prominent. So I am, however, I'm working on more than one pen. I usually am, but I am going to add a little bit of interference gold. Let's see here. I can just use this this brush. Alright, let's see here. Let's make sure I don't have too much on there. There we go. And I'm just coating the entire pen with this. I want a very light layer. Basically, you know, get back what I had before I did the dry brushing. Right now I'm just looking for any spots where it may have added too much paint, or apparently not enough. There we go. Okay. I mean, you probably can't see it on the camera. And you probably also couldn't see it in person. So, I guess I'll bring out a little bit. The honeycomb again a little bit. This is pretty much all dried. That's not even close to what I want. Or is it? You know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's try it. Let's try it. Oop, that's a dog hair. Okay. It's so dark out here in space. And it's been so long since I've seen a face. Honestly, let me pull in the honeycomb out a little bit. It's not looking too bad. I was worried it would make it too prominent, but I think as long as I don't do it on every single one, it should be okay. I am in frame, right? Yeah, okay, cool. I used my phone to record, so my phone's kind of an older model, especially as far as phone goes. I think I've had it for, what's the year? 2025. I think I've had it for like 4 years. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, because I got it during the big C. Apparently, YouTube will somehow sense if you say the word and it flags your video for false info. Okay. I think if I keep going, right. Actually, no. I'm gonna keep going just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Just a little bit there. A little bit there. And then here. Okay. I kind of dig that, actually. I want a little bit here. Okay. I think that's good. I'm gonna let that dry, and then next up is sealing, which I'm not gonna be able to do tomorrow because I gotta go out. I have a meeting. So Tuesday, ideally, because today's Sunday. Alright. So this has been finished for a while now, but you ready for the big reveal? Ta-da! I think it turned out really well. This part is a little bit crooked, but I mean, it's supposed to look like honey dripping. And I mean, look at that shine. So here's what it looks like, you know, when you'll want to use it. And it did add a little bit of weight here, but honestly, I don't find it uncomfortable. So there you go. I unfortunately was not able to record anything of me sealing or doing this, but yeah, that's the end result. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know like what kind of content do you guys want to see. Do you want to see like maybe me journaling? Do you want to see just, you know, me doing pen designs? I make content from an artist perspective, so I make content that I would like to see as an artist. But I know some of y'all aren't artists, so what would you like to see? I'm just really happy with how this turned out. Look at that. Yeah. Alright. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.